Well, welcome back to our tutorials on the document reviewing tools in Microsoft Office 2010. In the last video, we went ahead and started looking at the tracking changes feature, and we saw how to turn it on and the way it would affect the text as we edit the document. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about the reviewing and the markup panel, and also talk about how to accept and reject your different changes in your document. Now, you're going to see I'm on the reviewing tab right now. And the option that I want to look at is Final Showing Markup. And you're going to see this is the final version of the document, and it's showing all of the track changes or all of the markup. Now, alternately, you can click this drop-down arrow and just say Final. And if you do that, it will it will hide all of the markup. It won't remove it, it'll just hide it. So I'll go ahead and click Final here. And you're going to see Mary Jones moves over. She's no longer in that special color. And John Smith has been removed because he's not part of the final document. If I want to see those changes again, I just click this drop down and say Final Showing Markup. And there are my changes. If you want to see what the original looked like before you started making any changes here, or when you turned on the tracking changes. If you made changes before you turned this on, or if you accepted or rejected some changes, which we'll talk about in a little bit, then this wouldn't take you back to the original. But I'm going to go ahead and click this drop-down arrow here, and I'm going to say Original, just Original here. And this time, I'm going to see John Smith appear right here, because that was the original that was in the document, and Mary Jones is going to disappear. I'll click Original, and there we have it. If I click this drop down and say Original Showing Markup, you're going to see the original document with the markup, which in a lot of cases, and this is one of them, this looks identical to Final Showing Markup. Now, you want to be really, really careful with this, because on numerous occasions, people have thought, okay, just simply coming here and selecting Final incorporates all the changes into the document and nobody can see the editing. And then they've gone ahead and they've sent the document off. But all somebody has to do to see earlier changes or revisions is click that drop down and say Final Showing Markup, and all of your markup items are back. So make sure you don't think that just because you're hiding the markup that you've removed it. It's very simple to turn it back on. And in a later video, we're going to go ahead and look at a tool that comes with Microsoft Office that will ensure that if you run it, that will ensure that you're aware of any of these types of mistakes. Now, once you've gotten back your document, you're ready to make some decisions about your editing. And basically what you can do is you can leave this alone, and all the tracking changes will stay in the document. And if you ever want to go back and look at this historically, you'll be able to go back and see those changes. But it's a lot easier to do that with versioning, especially versioning with SharePoint. And again, we're going to talk about versioning in another video. Here we're just really talking about tracking changes. So eventually what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to either reject or accept these changes. For example, right here, I've deleted John Smith and inserted Mary Jones. If I want to make that change permanent, all I have to do is right-click and say Accept Change, or click Accept right up here. But I like right-clicking, so I'm going to click on my menu there. And you're going to see that change was accepted. Now I'm going to right-click on that. That was a separate one. That was deleting John Smith, and I'm going to accept that change. And again, when you highlight some text, or if you highlight even a word, and begin typing, just like Word normally does, it's going to write over the existing text and insert the new text. So there are actually two changes taking place here. So I'm going to type, this is a change. So again, two changes, the insertion of this text and the deleting of that text. And again, I can right-click and say Accept or Reject on both of these. Now, you also have Accept and Reject buttons up here, which if I highlight a change or click in a change, I can click the drop down arrow here and I can select accept change. But I've also got a couple of very useful options in here. I can accept this change and move to the next option or the next edit. So right now I'm going to go ahead and right click on new text. I'm going to go ahead and click on new text there. Right clicking will do it too. And then click accept. And if I click accept and move to next, it's going to move over here to this deleted text. I'll go ahead and click on that. And you'll see the next item that was highlighted. So I can continue to accept them and move to the next change very simply by using this option. Whereas right-clicking just gives me the option to accept or reject that individual item. You also have an option here to accept all changes in the document. And again, that can be very useful if you're the only one that's been editing and you don't care about your any of your revisions. You can just accept all the changes in the document. You also have the reject option here, which has the same options, only it's reject and move to next, or reject all changes in the document. So again, those two items can be very useful. And again, once you've either accepted or rejected them, it doesn't matter what you're showing here, because this is actually incorporating the edit into the document or rejecting the edit altogether. So that's really quickly how to accept and reject changes inside of a Word document. You also have previous and next. If you want to go ahead and find what the next occurrence of something is, you just click next and it will it will take you through the document in order, showing you each change. And then once you're on that change, you can just simply hit accept or reject here, or you can simply right click on it and accept or reject as well. So that works.